says, and we even walked unto the house of God in company. We even went to church together. Help me today, God. Yeah. So David then tells us that even in church, we got to be careful of who we talk to, what we say, because church folks love to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk some more. If it wasn't for church folks, the phone company wouldn't get so much business. Now, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the talking. The problem is what we are saying. See, we ain't talking about how we going to help somebody. We ain't talking about magnifying God. If we running down folks talking about what's wrong in their life, babe, don't you know you got something wrong? Yeah. All of our ports got some dust on it. All of our clothes has got some secrets in it. That's why God said that we got to work at our own soul salvation. You got to work on you. I got to work on myself in order to get ready for when he comes. Y'all do know he's coming back, don't you? And when he comes, you got to be ready. When he comes, look here. The first thing I want to share with you is the reason why David wanted to escape. The reason why he wanted to escape. Look there in verse 2. Look in verse 2. He says, hear my prayer, O God. Oh, no, that's wrong. Attend unto me. Hear me, I mourn in my complaint, and I make noise because of the voice of my enemy. Because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cast iniquity, and in wrath they hated me. David says the problem here that I'm dealing with is, first, I hear their voices. They are speaking evil. They are speaking cruel words. They are saying out there in the streets what they're going to do to me. They're saying that I better watch my back. Yeah, they're saying, and when we hear words, don't fool yourself. Those words will linger on your mind. Whoever said, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. They must have been deaf. Because if you can hear, some words will hurt you at your heart. And they have a way of lingering on your mind. So David says, I had a hard time trying to rest because I hear their words echoing in my mind. But then David said, look what he did. He said, but then the other problem is that they cast all this iniquity on me. In other words, they everything they did is making up stuff now. They bringing up old stuff and creating new stuff, and they trying to turn the folks against me. I've been serving well at my kingdom. Now they want to turn the kingdom against me. David says, I don't know why my acquaintances, my friends, my partners, in essence, has flipped the script. But then it just wasn't them. But David had an in-house problem. When he said that he was moved with wrath, David was talking about his son. For he had to deal with his son because his son had raped his sister. David said, now I can't have this kind of behavior. His son, boys, you got to be careful with boys. Because when we start getting around 12, 13, 14, as the old folks say, they start smelling, we feel like we already mean. Y'all, brother, y'all can say amen. Y'all know y'all feel a little pompous at that age, and we feel like we could kind of stand up and say what we wanted to say. His son felt like, now that I'm grown, I could take your job. I should be the king. You old, you outdated. But David in essence said, let me tell you something, boy. I didn't get here on my own. God placed me as king. And David in essence said to him, now I can't have this. So when he fled, he spread out hatred against his father. Because his father, in his eyesight, mistreated him and treated him wrong, but his father had to stand on principles. And that's what we need. We need parents that will stand on principles. I thank God for mama. She didn't care about hurting my feelings. She didn't have a problem with saying no. She didn't give me everything I wanted. Praise his name. But thank God she gave me most of it anyway. Look at this. Then the second thing I want to show you, that you got to understand the response when you desire to escape. When we have that desire to escape, in essence, we join David in verse 6 when we say that if I could just soar above the problems of this world. And you know, today in our country, in our land, there's a lot of folks that's been suffering from deep depressions, stressing over how they're going to pay their mortgages, their car notes, and groceries, and take care of their children. They are stressing and in deep depression. I was watching a report on Friday, and they said who's doing the most depression, who's suffering the most? African Americans and Hispanics. Stressing, worrying, don't know how to go through, wishing that they could just escape from it all. And even if you kind of check the record, there are those who just moved out of their homes, left mortgages because the pressure was too great. Pressure will cause us to want to escape to a hiding place. Now, the intriguing thing to me is that David said, if I had wings like a dove. Now, a dove don't have strong wings like an eagle. A dove is a cute little bird. They don't get to be real big birds, but they're able to fly to safe distances out of the reach of their enemies. So David in essence was saying that I don't want to soar above my problems. I don't want to soar through my problems. But David said, I just want to get to a safe place that I can rest my weary head. Now look at this. Now it sounded strange to me that David wanted to escape from his problems. When I considered the record of David, I said, now, David, now you the one, when you was a shepherd's boy, God delivered you from the bear, from the lion. Then you the one who slayed Goliath. You didn't face these difficulties, but now you say you want to run and escape from these problems. It sounded strange. But then when I searched the scriptures, guess what I discovered? That David wasn't the only one that wanted to run from his problems. No, Jeremiah wanted to escape. Jeremiah 9, chapter 9, verse 22, he says, oh, that I had in the desert a logging place for travelers, so that I may leave my people and go from them. But then Elijah also ran. When trouble came, Elijah ran to the peninsula of Sinai in order to find a resting place. All of us in our busy walks of life sometimes need to find a resting place. But I'm here to tell you that we may escape from what we call the presence of our situations, our problems, our heartaches. But I'm here to tell you that problems don't go away like that. And since problems don't go away like that, it would be strong arm robbery for me to leave you right there without telling you how they go away. Last thing I want to share with you today is knowing your resources. You got to know your resources. Look in verse 16 and 17. Look in verse 16. This is what David said. This is what David said. This is his resource. This is what David said. David said, as for me. Y'all see that? I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. But then look what he says. Look, he did this systematically. Look in verse 17. He said, evening and morning and at noon, I will pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. Now in verse 1, he was pleading for God to hear his call. Sometimes when we call on the Lord, it seems like God is not listening. Seems like God is not concerned. But David says, as for me, I don't know about nobody else, but I'm going to keep calling on him until he moves on my petition. David says, I'm going to pray not just in the morning, but I'm going to give him morning, noon, and night. That I'm going to pause out of my busy day and call on his name. Cry out loud to the Lord. Tell the Lord of my situation and remind him that I am waiting on you. David pleaded with God, and this is what God did for David in verse 18. He delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me. And see, this is why David didn't need wings like an eagle. He needed wings like a dove. The dove didn't carry him away from the battle, but God gave him peace to go through the battle. And see, that's what God does for us. So you don't always got to ask God, Lord, take away my stumbling blocks. You don't have to say, Lord, move this mountain. You don't have to say, Lord, cease this storm. But say, Lord, give me peace, that I may be able to go through this and still give you praise and glory. Yeah, and then look what David's advice is for us today. David got some advice for us today. Right there in verse 22, his advice for us today, regardless of what you're facing in life, he said, thus cast thy burdens upon the Lord. He shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. So David in essence says to us, be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters. The old folks used to say, I will not, I shall not be moved. In essence, they said, I started with Jesus, and I am going through. Yeah, there may be fire all around me, but I am going through. Yeah, my acquaintances and my friends and even the family, yeah, may turn their backs on me, but I am going through. Yeah, and the reason why I'm going to go through, because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Thank God today that we have a God that will guide us through. David says, in essence, my mind is going back. I remember when I was a shepherd's boy, and when I wrote the psalm, I said, the Lord is my shepherd. And he says, I shall not want. But then he said, I don't want you to stop right there, but I want you to drift down a little bit further. When he says, yea, do I walk through the valleys of the shadows of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. My brothers and my sisters, as we are going through this life, I'm reminded of this story. There was a band that had been